A very dear friend of mine was in the market for a top-of-the-line, state-of-the-art digital analog converter, and he was fortunate to be able to audition in his system, in his room, in his house, the following DACs: the DCS Vivaldi Apex, the Lampezator Horizon, the Nagra HDX, the Infigo Method 4, the WADAX Reference, the SW1X DAC 3, the Aries Seurat Cassandra, and the MSB Select 2. I was very grateful to be able to tag along on this survey with him, and it was a very, very interesting process. If we start with the spectrum of liquidity and dimensionality on one end, and detail and dynamics and bass punch, different ways to call different things, and crisp leading edge transients on the other end of the spectrum, I would say almost all of the DACs fall along that indifference curve. Overall, I would say that there were very minor differences between and among these DACs. To make up a fake number, I would say that the variation in the sonic characteristics among these DACs was something on the order of magnitude of 10% to 25%. I think any suggestion that one DAC is twice as good as another DAC, or twice as resolving, or twice as dimensional, or anything of that order of magnitude, I think is inaccurate and simply partisanship and pride of ownership, and hyperbole, and not the reality of the audible magnitudes of differences between and among these DACs. The DCS Vivaldi was the one DAC that was the constant reference during the course of this entire comparison. To my ears, the DCS was as resolving of information as any of them, but often had, to me, the sense of a touch of dryness, or what I call a menthol quality, and perhaps an overemphasized leading edge, which is just not my personal cup of tea. The Lampezator Horizon was the other end of that spectrum, emphasizing, to my ears, liquidity and dimensionality and all of the things that I personally like tubes for. The Nagra HDX was a little bit neither here nor there. It was kind of in the middle of the pack and kind of split the baby between the dimensional, musical, hate that word musicality, but we all use it, and liquidity end of things versus the detail and resolution end of things. I really kind of split the baby in the middle. We both liked it, but I felt like if somebody wanted to veer towards the tube side of the spectrum, they would pick something else. And if somebody wanted to veer towards the maximizing resolution side of the spectrum, the audiophile would pick something else. But it was definitely a worthy contender. The Infigo Method 4, a solid-state DAC, actually was surprisingly dense sounding and not digital sounding. The proprietor of Infigo we met, a very, very nice fellow. The WADAX Reference is the subject of a great deal of controversy. I found that to be equal in resolution and detail and dynamic punch as the DCS, but without that hint of dryness. The SW1X DAC 3, by far the least expensive DAC in the group, was smooth and analogy, but I felt that it gave up too much in resolution for the smoothness it delivered. The Aries Seurat Cassandra was definitely in the Lampezator direction on the dimensional, musical, liquid side of the spectrum. Maybe didn't go quite as far in that direction as the Horizon did, but I very much liked it as well. That was actually the second least expensive DAC in the survey and half the price of the Horizon. Finally, the MSB Select. If somebody wants to go solid state, I found the MSB Select to have the densest tone of the solid-state contenders, and I liked it very much. My choice, if I were choosing a DAC for myself personally, would be the Lampezator Horizon, because my cup of tea is liquidity and dimensionality and that slight warmth of tubes. If somebody preferred the technical design or aesthetic design of the Cassandra, you could easily go with that, because I felt the Cassandra was very much in the direction of the Lampezator. If somebody wanted to maximize resolving power and precision and a crisp leading edge transient, I think that the weight X is clearly the way to go. I personally felt the weight X was equal to the DCS in every positive attribute, but without the DCS's negative attribute to my ears of that sense of dryness or menthol quality. And if somebody wanted to stay with solid state but go for a somewhat denser sound, my choice would be the MSB Select 2. And in that direction, for a lower price, I would go with the Infigo Method 4 or the MSB Reference, which are both in the $30,000 to $50,000 range. Please sign up for this channel below, subscribe for us.